The crimson moons of Zephyria cast an eerie glow across the barren wasteland where Princess Kira lay bleeding. Her silver skin, once radiant with bioluminescent patterns, now flickered weakly like dying stars. The elegant curves of her elongated limbs were marred by deep gashes, and her forearms trembled as she tried to push herself up from the jagged rocks. Her own people had done this to her. The Zephyrian High Council, led by her tyrannical father, Emperor Vex, had declared her a traitor for refusing to marry the brutal warlord of a neighboring system. Kira had dared to speak against the alliance, had questioned why her people should bow to such cruelty. For her defiance, she was stripped of her royal guards, beaten by the palace enforcers, and cast out into the deadly wastelands to die. The princess gasped as pain shot through her torso. One of her hearts was damaged, its rhythm irregular and weak. Without medical attention, she would be dead within hours. The toxic atmosphere of this desolate region was already making her vision blur. She had always been the strongest of her siblings, trained in combat and strategy, but even her enhanced physiology could not survive this. Above her, the stars seemed to mock her fate. She had dreamed of exploring those distant worlds, of bringing peace between species, of proving that strength came from compassion rather than conquest. Now those dreams would die with her in this forsaken place. A distant rumbling caught her attention. Through her fading consciousness, she saw lights approaching across the wasteland. At first, she thought it might be Zephyrian patrol craft coming to finish her off. But as the vehicle drew closer, she realized it was unlike anything in her people's fleet. The craft was smaller, more compact, with smooth lines and an odd blue glow emanating from its engines. It landed 50 meters away, kicking up clouds of red dust. Kira tried to crawl behind a boulder, her survival instincts overriding her weakness, but her body would not obey. The vehicle's hatch opened with a soft hiss. A figure emerged, and Kira's eyes widened in disbelief. It was a human female, shorter than any Zephyrian, with pale skin and strange golden hair that caught the moonlight. The human wore a fitted suit of some foreign material and carried what appeared to be medical equipment. Captain Amy Carter had been conducting a routine survey of the Outer Rim systems when her ship's sensors detected the life sign readings in the wasteland. Her crew had warned her against landing on Zephyria, knowing the xenophobic reputation of its inhabitants, but Amy had never been one to abandon someone in distress, regardless of species. She approached the wounded alien cautiously, her hand resting on her sidearm. The being before her was clearly female, with an otherworldly beauty that took Amy's breath away. Despite the injuries, there was something regal about the way the alien held herself, a dignity that suffering could not diminish. Kira stared up at the human with a mixture of fear and fascination. She had heard stories of these strange bipedal creatures from distant Earth, but had never seen one. They were said to be weak, primitive, barely capable of interstellar travel. Yet this one moved with confidence and purpose. Amy knelt beside the princess, her scanner revealing the extent of the injuries. 2 hearts, both struggling, internal bleeding, and what appeared to be some kind of energy weapon damage. She had treated injured aliens before during her years, as both a military medic and explorer, but never one so gravely wounded. The alien tried to speak, her voice a melodic whisper that somehow Amy's universal translator could interpret. "Why do you help me, human? Your kind fears mine." Amy met the alien's large luminous eyes. "Because you're hurt, and I'm a doctor. That's all that matters." Without hesitation, Amy began administering emergency treatment. She injected biocompatible healing agents, applied pressure to the worst wounds, and used her portable medical scanner to stabilize the alien's dual cardiovascular system. The princess watched in amazement as this small human worked with skill and determination that rivaled the finest Zephyrian physicians. As Amy worked, Kira found herself studying her savior's face. There was a strength there, a resolve that seemed to burn from within. The human's hands were steady, her movements precise, and there was something in her expression that Kira had never seen among her own people, a genuine care for a complete stranger. "What is your name?" Kira whispered as the pain began to subside, under Amy's treatment. Amy Carter. Captain Amy Carter of the exploration vessel Wanderer. What about you? Kira hesitated. If this human knew she was royalty, it might complicate things. I am Kira. Just Kira. Amy smiled, a warm expression that made Kira's remaining functional heart skip. Well, just Kira. You're lucky I happened to be in the neighborhood. What happened to you? The princess looked away, shame burning in her chest. I was cast out by my people. They said I was a disgrace to our ways. What could you have possibly done to deserve this? Amy asked, her voice filled with indignation as she continued her medical work. Kira was quiet for a long moment. No one had ever asked her that question before. No one had ever seemed to care about her perspective. I refused to marry a monster. I spoke against an alliance that would bring suffering to millions. For this, they called me weak, unfit to carry our bloodline forward. Amy's hands paused in their work. They did this to you because you stood up for what was right. In their eyes, I was wrong. A female's duty is to obey, to breed strong warriors, to never question the will of the males. Kira's voice carried centuries of frustration and pain. I wanted to explore the galaxy, to learn from other species, to build bridges instead of weapons. Such dreams are forbidden for one of my gender. Amy felt a surge of anger at the injustice. She had fought her own battles against discrimination in the male-dominated fields of space exploration and military service, but nothing compared to what this alien had endured. Where will you go now? Amy asked as she sealed the last of Kira's wounds with biofoam. Nowhere. I have no ship, no resources, no allies. When my strength returns, I will try to find passage off-world, but few will risk harboring a Zephyrian exile. Amy stood and extended her hand. Come with me. Kira stared at the offered hand in shock. You would take an enemy aboard your vessel. You're not my enemy. You're someone who needs help, and I have room on my ship. Amy's smile was genuine, without calculation or hidden agenda. Besides, I could use someone with your knowledge of this sector. I'm charting unexplored systems, and a local guide would be invaluable. Kira slowly reached out and took Amy's hand. The human's grip was surprisingly strong, and she pulled the much larger alien to her feet with ease. For a moment, they stood close together, and Kira caught the scent of Amy's skin, something clean and warm that made her feel safe for the first time in months. The journey back to Amy's ship was quiet but comfortable. Kira marveled at the human's vehicle, noting the efficient design and advanced technology that seemed impossible for such a young species. When they reached the Wanderer, she was even more impressed. The ship was sleek and purposeful, clearly built for long-range exploration rather than warfare. As they boarded, Kira met Amy's small crew, a diverse group of humans who welcomed her without question or suspicion. It was so different from the rigid hierarchy and constant surveillance of Zephyrian society. Amy showed Kira to guest quarters, that were modest but comfortable. Rest, the human said. We'll be departing the system within the hour. You can decide where you want to go once you've recovered. But as days turned into weeks, Kira found herself reluctant to leave. She proved invaluable as a guide and translator, helping Amy's crew navigate the complex politics of various alien civilizations. More importantly, she discovered something she had never known existed: true friendship. Amy treated her as an equal, seeking her opinions on everything from navigation routes to first contact protocols. The human had an insatiable curiosity about other cultures and a genuine respect for different ways of life. Under her guidance, Kira began to see her own abilities not as shameful rebellion, but as valuable skills. The princess also found herself fascinated by Amy's approach to leadership. The human commanded through inspiration rather than fear, earning loyalty through her actions rather than demanding it through birthright. Her crew would follow her anywhere, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. One evening, as they orbited a beautiful nebula, Kira found Amy alone on the observation deck. The human was studying star charts, planning their next destination. You never asked why I was really cast out, Kira said softly. Amy looked up from her work. I figured you'd tell me if you wanted to. I am Princess Kira, daughter of Emperor Fex, heir to the Zephyrian throne. The words came out in a rush. My father wanted to marry me to Warlord Brutus of the Crimson Fleet to secure a military alliance. I refused because Brutus enslaves entire planets and commits genocide for sport. Amy was quiet for a moment, processing this information. That must have been a difficult choice. It was no choice at all. I could not condemn billions to suffering for the sake of political convenience. Kira moved to stand beside Amy at the viewing port. But my refusal meant civil war. My younger brother will now inherit the throne, and he lacks the strength to resist our father's violent ambitions. Do you regret your decision? Amy asked. Never. But I regret that my people will suffer.